So this is the ninth one. Last week's one was the eighth one. And today's one, we're going to do nothing drastically new. The other sessions have been always trying to talk about what's new, what's hippie, what probably have not heard of. But for this session, we're going to do the things that we should always still know. Some you might know, some it will be a nice refresher for you. So we're going to talk on Excel formulas. We're going to do a refresher on Excel formulas. So that's the agenda for today. And also, if you have any ideas, if you have anything you want to share, please feel free. Okay. So Excel formulas. I already have a file that I'm going to use. Please help me confirm that you can see my screen. The good thing is the problem I faced during the financial modeling one, I think I've permanently solved it. So please just confirm, can you see my screen clearly? And anytime you no longer hear me or see my screen, please message or turn on your mic and say. So please,
yeah,
can you hear me clearly? Can you see my screen also?
I can see your screen and I can hear you clearly as well.
Okay. And on my screen, I hope you are seeing an Excel file. I have two screens so I can be sure you're seeing the right one.
Yeah, our Excel functions.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we are good to go. Okay, so these are the formulas. I might do more than these. I might not be able to finish all of them. The key thing is just to help us refresh these formulas, expand our minds sometimes for even the ones we already know, expand our minds to using them in ways we probably don't think of. Okay, so let's start with if formula. If formula is a conditional formula, and it's amazing what it lets you to do. This is the syntax. It's always, if, then into bracket, what is the condition you want to check for? So it's always related to conditions, like that's why we call it logical test. Something that we always evaluate to a kind of yes or no, which in Excel's English is like true or false, right? So you can always plug in formulas there or something there that will be like, is this condition met or not? If the condition is met, so let's call it a conditional test or a test. So a kind of conditional test or logical test is the right technical word, but whatever, as many words as I can use. So what to do if true and what to do if false. So this is the context by which it works. So it's complaining that my formula does not make sense. Right. So whenever you are doing if, this is the pattern you have to follow. And because we are in 2020, there's a new formula called ifs that has been there for like 4 years now. If, which is, let me use the right word, logical test. And, if the answer, okay, let me bring it up so that it's easy for you to even see the way it runs. So I'm going to turn on this. I'm going to zoom, because when you see it, what I'm writing will make sense. So I'm going to just type something here, nothing meaningful. Are you noticing that this one allows me to do multiple logical tests? I don't have to do one test, unlike the regular if. The regular if, I can only do one test. The regular if, just one test and one true and one false. Let me just write one true and one false. So if you see some people having to do some complicated if where they are writing if inside if, it's because of this problem of just only one true, one false. So sometimes you want to capture more than one kind of condition. Imagine I'm grading, I'm converting your scores to grade. So if you score 70 and above, that should be grade A. That is not just a one true or one false. After I check, if you are not greater than 70 or equal to 70, you could be B, you could be C, you could be D, right? So what kind of sort of allows me to say, okay, let's check, let's check for one condition. This guy does not meet that condition. Let's check for another condition. Let's check, for as many conditions as possible. So that way I can check for, did you meet A? So maybe you met grade A, I give you grade A. Then maybe you did not meet it, but you were able to meet grade B, I give you B. And then maybe it's not even that, what you made is grade C. So if is that formula that they included about 4 years ago to capture these multiple conditions. But let us first learn the vanilla one, the ones that you're supposed to know first before we start talking about if things are no longer simple anymore. Okay, so let's do something that is easy for everybody to follow. I have a list of companies and their country of incorporation, right? And then I want to do like a simple categorization. If your country of incorporation, maybe I should have said country of origination, because any company in Nigeria is supposed to incorporate in Nigeria. So let's say country of origination. So that's a much truer way of viewing it. So if the country of it, what I want to test, country. If the country of incorporation is equal to, right? Now in Excel, there's this rule that if you are typing inside a formula, so this rule applies to whether when you are typing inside formulas, there's another place where it applies. If you are doing custom formatting, let me just say if you are doing formatting, because could be conditional formatting, could be custom formatting, could be, whenever you're doing any of these, just always remember that text must always be in quotes, double quotes. Excel is always double quotes. It's not like Python or some other programs that you can do single sometimes and do double. Compulsorily, it must be in double. Then every other thing, you can type them as their numbers, you can type as you have them. You don't have to put those ones in quotes. We also have Boolean. So those doing our courses, one of the first set of lectures will be on data types. Though it's a bit outdated now because there are newer data types, but those things are still valid that you must always remember. There's also Boolean, true or false. So every of all these other ones, anyway, the good thing is you don't need to remember all the data types. You just need to remember that if what you are typing is a text, always wrap it in quotes if you're typing inside a formula or in formatting. Now that is clear, I just want to leave it on the screen for a moment. Have you seen it very well? I'm wiping it off because I need to continue with what I'm doing. So, oh boy, I've wiped off more than what I want to wipe off. If this is equal to, we all know that Nigeria is a text. So if your country of incorporation is equal to Nigeria, I'm putting that Nigeria in double quotes. What do I say? Then the answer to is a text. I want to say, then this is a local firm, right? Then answer if no. Remember as I told us, what to do if the answer is yes, what to do if the answer is no, right? So yes comes before no. So yes is you classify it as a local company. No is you classify it as a foreign company. And then I close the bracket, right? Let me just go back into it so that you see it for one more time. All right, so once this is it, and you're okay, then that's it. The benefit of of going this route, let me drink something. The benefit of going this route is the advantage of drag down, because the time it takes you to write this formula, you could have written the local there and move on with your life. But because you know that there are many other ones, maybe 100 or 200, that's why it makes sense to take that time and just drag down. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's up the complexity a bit. Let's go to something that is related to bonus. So if the condition is if you are greater than the target of 1 million, then you get bonus. Okay. So now that we know the condition, we can again do as we have learned. If your sales figure is greater than, sometimes you might be lucky, or if this is a work environment, it's good to write your target or sales target or what the benchmark is. It's good to have it somewhere in Excel so that once the benchmark is updated, your formulas too is updated. But for now, let's not worry. Let's just understand the formula first. So remember that 1 million is a number. I'm not going to put it in double quotes. So if it's greater than 1 million, what should be the thing? Again, the money we want to give you, the bonus is a number, so I'm not putting it in quotes. The bonus is going to be a kind of calculation-based bonus, which means that, what did we say, 5% of sales. So I'm going to take what you did, and I'm going to multiply it by 5%, okay? And I'm going to do, okay, that's for true. What if you did not meet the bonus? What should happen? Well, if you don't meet the bonus, you will get 0 naira. So, or if you want to write something else, you can. But I think 0 naira is much more appropriate, so the person knows the bonus is 0. All right. So clear. So I'm doing enter. If you have any question, you can always ask. You don't have to wait for me to say any questions. You can always, in fact, if you have ideas that you want us to cover, so you can share. As I mentioned, the advantage of this formula is if I have many people, I can drag down. And not just that, if things change, maybe this guy now does 2 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's the other advantage. It's always monitoring the condition. So it's more like you created a template, a bonus template. So every time you put in their current performance, the template computes for you the bonus due them. So that's the extra advantage you get, beyond you manually computing all of the time. So let's up the thing a bit and say, what if the conditions are not that straightforward? Let's say if you do greater than 1 million, let me just write it in English. So let's just write it in a straightforward way. 1 million to 2 million, huh? And let's say the person does greater than 2 million, but not greater than, I wanted to avoid, I am still going to miss. Let's just use symbol throughout so that we don't type too much grammar. Less than or equal to 3 million. Let's do one more, and then let's say greater than 5 million. So these are like 5 conditions. So this one, let me modify this to now be 3 million. So this is one thing about if. You will need the number of logical tests that you need is always equal to the count of your conditions. So the count of all these your conditions, minus 1. So if I'm tracking 5 conditions, then I'm going to need 4 logical tests. Did you get that? I'm going to make it much more obvious. This one we finished. What were the conditions we are tracking? The conditions were just 2. Less than 1 million and something like this. Greater than or equal to 1 million. So this is what we did here. As you know, this is two conditions, but when we wrote our test, how many tests were we carrying out? Just one single test. Okay. So we test for, just test for one thing. If the person meets it, give it what it's supposed to get. If it doesn't meet it, get the next thing. So it's just like a two-state stuff, like a yes or no, like a binary 0 or 1. You can either be 0 or 1. So I can test you for 1. If you are 1, I give you 1. If you are not 1, I give you 0. I can alternatively test you for 0. And if you meet 0, I give you 0. If you don't meet 0, I give you 1. So that's why you don't need to test for the two conditions. You just test for 1, right? But then when you have more than two conditions, well, you always have to test for the conditions minus 1. And that's just what I want you to know. So in the days of using a nested if, so there's days where you will use nested if, and then there's now today where you are supposed to use if. So let us see if first of all, because sometimes that nested if used to turn people's eyes. So let us learn the one that hopefully should not turn your eyes. So this is how ifs work. If condition that we are testing for. All right, so to be sincere, the best way to go after this is to go, my approach is usually to go in, let me go to draw. I want to draw what I want to say because I want it to keep showing. I always go this direction. I always go like this. I start from one extreme end and then I go backwards. So it makes things easy even for interpretation and for your formula typing. So you will not have problem or you start confusing yourself. So if I go this way, that means I'll start from this condition, right? So let's do it together. If I test for this condition, which is I take what you've done, I test if it is great. One, two, three, four, five, six. For now, let's just type the figures. Let's not worry too much about why are we not picking it. So once I type it, allows me to say what should happen. So if what should happen is, oh boy, we didn't say what should happen. Let us say what should happen. These people will get no bonus. People in this category get no bonus. Let me just drag this. These guys here, we get, what do we give them before? Let's just say 3%. These guys will get 5%. These guys will get 7%. These guys will get 10%. Okay. So now that we've established how the reward will be set, if what you did is greater than 5 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What should be the answer? I take what you've done, I multiply by, let's keep typing it. So ordinarily I should have come here and picked up. But now I think if I type it, it makes it easy for you to follow anyway. So that is that condition. Then the next condition, remember the pattern I said, I'm going like this direction, like from bottom up, or like I used to call it from extreme. I start from an extreme. So I go to the next one, which would be, okay, so you did not do more than 5 million. So what do I do? Let me just check. So if you did not meet this condition, right, then let us check, at least, did you do greater than 3 million? So someone who did not do greater than 5 million, if I check and it does greater than 3 million, then definitely is in this category. So it's just like you are doing elimination. So we need people who maybe are 5 to 6 feet tall. So what do? We first remove all the people who are more than 6 feet tall. So by the time we have removed everybody that is more than 6 feet tall, then definitely anybody in our remaining group that is greater than 5 feet is definitely between 5 feet and 6 feet. So clear? So that's the logic. So I will just say, is this greater than 3 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all. And as usual, what will be the person's bonus? That will be 7%. So times 7%. Okay. And I move on to the condition after that. So I move on to again what you did, and the condition after that is 2 million, right? So again, what you did. Let me just exit this Zoom so that you can see everything a bit.
Hello, Michael.
So now all what you did, is it greater than 2 million? You are not greater than 5 million. You are not greater than 3 million. So we have eliminated all the people that are 3 million and above.
Hello,
So we are
someone
not
is
checking
trying to
if
ask
you
a
greater than 2
question.
million. Obviously, if you are greater than 2 million, you will be in this category that we are now in. And that is it. Greater than 2 million. How many zeros? 6 zeros. Oh, that's 6. All right, so it's 6. So this is going to be this times 5%. And then we go now to the second to the last condition, which is, if you are not greater than 2, if you are not greater than 5, you are not greater than 3, you are not greater than 2, at least are you greater than 1? Are you greater than 1 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if the answer is yes, that means I'm going to give you 3%. Now, we are back to a binary situation. So if you are not greater than 1 million, then the only other thing that will apply to you is you are definitely less than 1 million. So which means you're going to get 0. So at this stage, I can just say anybody that has not met all these other conditions we've been asking, just know this person is getting 0. So that's why you will always do number of conditions for your logical test. That's why we're doing 4. If you count this will be 4 conditions, like 1, 2, 3. No, let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. My condition should be 4 now. Is it that I don't know how to count? Let's count. Condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, condition 4. Aha. All right. So, and this is it. What's it complaining about? Too few arguments. What did I do wrong? So anytime you're doing this and sometimes the thing is looking a bit tricky, if you just go to this FX here. So let me zoom. This FX.
Hello, Mr. Michael.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
I missed these ifs. I don't know if you can run through that ifs again.
We have you covered. What we did is there's a recording, so we're going to share it.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So just make sure you join the community. I'm going to share the link of the community. So that way we're going to share it out.
Okay, all right. No problem.
So I'm just trying to figure out why it complains that.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes. Good afternoon. I hear you.
Please, I don't have any experience on this Excel before, so I don't know if you have a YouTube channel that I can go to and probably start from beginning and stuff like that.
From scratch, right?
Yeah, from scratch.
Yes,
right.
yes. I have. I'm going to share with you. Let me just do that one now. Maybe I should even do those two now.
Okay, no problem.
What I'm going to do here is for this if, I will just knock off I'll put the last condition manually. So B24 less than 1 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what it should do. So in that case, it should just give it 0. So that one will let us go. All right. So great. So I've put all the conditions now, right?
Hello, Mr. Michael. Let everyone mute their mic. There's noise at the background.
Let us do what?
Mute our mics. There is noise at the background.
Okay. Let me mute everybody else. Yes?
How many months, Lolo?
I did not get what you said, though. You said how many something did I want? Maybe the person is not talking to me. Let me just mute everybody. So definitely whoever is talking will be someone who definitely wants to say something that will now mute himself. My mouse pointer.
Yeah, what's the low one?
Instead of me to mute, I went to somehow I mistakenly clicked leave. So I ended up leaving the. All right, so I'm unmuting everybody now. I'm muting everybody. So only those who deliberately want to say something will now be able to talk. All right, so from what people are saying, this looks a bit confusing, right? Let's just, for those of us who got it, did anybody get the whole thing? The advantage is it makes things a bit nicer and easier when you have all these plenty conditions. So if you get it, good. But if we don't get it, don't worry. So what are what people already had?
Mr. Michael, we can see your screen.
Where you can easily go and
see your screen
from scratch. Oh, you can't see my screen.
Mr. Michael, share your screen, please.
Yes. I need to reshare the screen. How about now? You can see my screen now. So I want to grab for you the YouTube link, YouTube channel. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So if you go here, in fact, let me get for you the Excel playlist. So we have an Excel training playlist where is the playlist now? Playlist itself. So you can, without having to pay, you can watch as many. Making it a bit difficult. I will just post the entire. Just go here and pick it out. The one that is for Excel. You will see playlist there. Yeah. Or should I say channel? Yeah. Then for the video recording. So for the video recording, all you have to do is just make sure you join this platform. So join here. For the video recording notice. So here you will always, and for past ones, so for past sessions we've had, let me get you the, this is what I should have picked on. So for past sessions we've had, office hours, if you go here, you see the past sessions we've had. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let me, right. So let me just
see your formula, how you solve that problem.
What did you say? Did you solve the problem?
I said, can we see your formula, how you, because you said too few arguments. What was the issue?
Yeah, I think I typed something. I didn't finish the typing. So let me do it again. So let's just do it again. I'll just increase my screen zoom. At least I don't need to repeat the story part. We all remember the story part of if the test. I already told us it's better to start from one extreme end. So I start from here. Is it greater than 5 million? The extreme end in this one, right? So is it greater than 5 million? 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If the answer is yes, take what we have done and give us 10%. That is our bonus. So that's condition 1 taken care of. Condition 2 is, now again, what we have done Is it greater than 3 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If the answer is yes, take what we have done, multiply it by 7%. Right? Condition 3 is what we have done. Is it greater than 2 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? If the answer is yes, take what we have done, multiply it by 5%. Condition, this condition anyway, condition, that's 4, condition 4, is what we have done, is it greater than 2, no, don't 2 million, 1 million, 1 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. If yes, then take what we have done and multiply by 3%. So this was where I stopped the other time, right? So that was why I was complaining. I just put 0 here. That I should give the other people 0. I think for if, you still must explicitly write the last condition. If it's nested if, we will not have to write the last condition. So for if, you have to write all the 5 conditions, because when I went to check the error, it said that's the resolution that we must write it out again. So I must still say, okay, you did not make the 1 million, so well, you are less than 1 million. Like you are less than or equal to 1 million. So let's say you are less than 1 million. It means this one should have been greater than or equal to. Yeah. So less than 1 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you get 0. So this is the condition now. Everything taken care of. The one for the 5 million, the one for the person is not up to 5 million but is greater than 3 million. The one the person is not up to 3 million or 5 million but is greater than 2 million. The one that the person is not up to 2 million, 3 million or 5 million but is at least greater than 1 million or equal to 1 million. And the last one, the person is not even up to 1 million. Right? So once I enter all those conditions and I put what should come for them, I press enter. That is it. Okay? So as usual, the advantage is you can drag down. And you see that this will compute correctly. If you want to compare it, this person that got 2 million, by the something for 2 million, you should get 5%. See? Something is wrong. Oh, greater than 2 million. So this person is not great, it's 3%. His own is 2 million on dot, 3%. Yeah, so it's correct. And this person is 5 million. 5 million would be here. So that's 7%. Let's check and compare. This times 7%. See, it's correct. So that's the advantage of if. Captures all those conditions together. But assuming you don't know if, and you are looking at someone's report and you see them do this. So one other thing people do is nested if, where they will take the conditions, they will start like, again, the same pattern, start from extreme end. This, let me take some water. So is this greater than 5 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If the answer is yes, as usual, we take what you've done, we multiply by 10%. Okay? Now, this is what makes it nested if. If you do not meet the condition, you could at least meet any of these remaining 4 conditions. So I can't just give you one outcome. I have to write another if. To now say, okay, this guy did not meet the condition for 5 million bonus or greater than 5 million. But let's see, is he at least greater than 3 million? So you see how that one looks neater. This one now I have to be writing ifs inside if. That's why they decided to create this one. The one we just finished, the nested, the ifs. So I'm going to say, are you at least greater than 3 million? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3 million, yeah. And if the answer is yes, we take what you've done, we multiply by 7%. Right? And if the answer is, again, no, you could be one of 3 conditions. So I have to, again, do another if to find out which of these 3 are you again. Right? So are you seeing that we're beginning to have brackets inside brackets? But before, this was the only way you can achieve what I'm saying. And so what do? We again test for the condition. Are you greater than, we've done 3 million, so 2 million now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if the answer is yes, then what you've done, you've multiplied by 5%, because that's your bonus for that situation. Now, if the answer is no, you could be one of these two situations. You could be less than 1 million, or you could be 1 million to 2 million. So I need to do another if to check, okay, this guy did not meet the condition for 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. But at least, is it greater than 1 million? So if the answer is yes, we give you 3%. So we give you 3%. And now, if the answer is no, then definitely no bonus. So now we don't have to write another if. We can just complete the whole thing now and say, at this stage, we can conclude that you are not eligible for a bonus. We have checked you for 5 million, you did not meet. Almost like how they say in parable, like, I've checked you for this, you did not meet. I've checked you for this condition, you did not meet it. I've checked you for this condition, you did not meet it. I've checked you for the 1 million, you did not meet. Then definitely, bye-bye, go back. You are not entering into the kingdom of bonus. So I'm going to now close the bracket. And the thing is, you need to close all the brackets. But Excel is nice to be giving you color code. So I just keep watching until the color is back to black. But if you are the type that you are meticulous, you might count. And I don't count anymore since I know that Excel gives me the color code. I keep typing the brackets until I get to black. All right, so that is it. I'm going to do enter. So I'm doing enter. Voila. You see, we get the same answer, right? And if I drag down, you see that we're getting the same output. What happened? 5, 7, 7. Is there anywhere I messed up the bonus? 5, 7%, 5%, 3%. Correct.
It's supposed to be greater than or equals to 5 million.
But is that what I typed here? I think it's related to one of them should be greater than or equal to. Let's go and feature out which one is there. Is that
the first if? The first if. The B25
right?
should be greater. Yeah.
But okay. No, it's not that one. No. This is 1, 2, 3.
Yes,
this one is correct.
That one should be greater than or equals to.
No, if you look at it, we said greater than. No. So that part is correct. That one looks correct, actually. Let's check this one. 1, 2, 3. This is the problem. I put 30 billion here. This is the one that is at 4. So let's check now. So that was where the problem was. So let me just redrag. Okay, so we spend a lot of time on it, but it's worth it. Okay, so any other question on this if, so that I can move on to another formula? Let us do something interesting. So let us do something a bit more interesting. Maybe we'll just stop on the categories of formulas that are if. So and let's say we're going to call these So this will help me to expose you to another family of formula here. Maybe we'll just stop with all those formulas. So the family of formulas I want to expose you to will now be if. Then there's another one called switch. So it's good we all just cover them together here rather than me moving to another type of formula. So there's a new formula to call switch. Let's see how all of them work together. So we all know that if we have a marking or a grading scheme where if you score between 0 to let's use as they do normally in our university, 0 to 39. So by the time we learn this, you'll be able to apply it to something that is more meaningful to you. 44, that's how they did it for me in school. 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and then 70 and above. In my school, you can get more than 100. There was one course that some people got 113. And you might be wondering, how is it possible for someone to get 113? Just know that people failed, and then the lecturer had to pass some people, so he had maybe like 20 marks to everybody. Well, the lecturer is not very good with Excel or stuff, so he just added it like that. So someone who had like 94 now had 140. So for someone like this, what would be the grade? So this would be grade F, this would be E, this would be D, this would be C, this would be B, this would be A. And then what I mean by name or stuff is like, this is like fail, this is like, this is poor, they used to call it. Well, I know one is poor, one is credit, one is like good, one is distinction, maybe this one will be very poor then. Okay, so something like that, that's what I mean. So if we have scores,
I think you put fair there, so it will be fail, fair, poor, fair, then.
Which one do you say I should put fair? Is it
so
this
that
one?
yes. So you have poor, then fair.
Okay.
And change down
Okay.
to
Like this.
yes.
Thanks. Makes sense. Good. So imagine I have some random scores here. There's a formula called rand between. Very good for creating random numbers. So I'm going to create random numbers between 30 and 99. So you can see the lower boundary first before the upper boundary. So this is very good for testing sometimes when you are doing things. I want to test if it's working before you start releasing it for your colleagues to use. So I use it a lot when I want to create templates to just stress test that everything is working fine, and in sometimes training like this to check that what I'm building is working. So we've used this to come up with some figures. And so if you try to do heaps, we are in problem, I hope you know. Let's do heaps. If you even do heaps, remember that this one, there were just 5 situations. See our if. See how long it is. This one is still shorter or easier to read, but it's still long, right? So I want to introduce us to an approach that we can use. We can use if, it will still work. Let me just use it so that you can see that it will work. Always start from an extreme. So the extreme in this case will be this one. So if your score is greater than 70 or greater than or equal to 70, then grade A is a text. So you remember what I said about that. Otherwise, if your score is greater than or equal to 60, then that will be grade B. So you're seeing the pattern, right? Are you seeing that what I'm saying is beginning to make sense now? If it's greater than or equal to 50, then you're going to be grade C, right? And if it's greater than or equal to 40, what will that be now? 45. You're going to be D. And if it's greater than or equal to 40, you're going to be E. And if it's less than 40, you're going to be F. So for those of us that were asking me that if I should redo it, this is an opportunity for you to learn it again with a different example, and God is even on our side. This example looks a bit easier to digest. Is it making sense? Is it clear? So I'm going to do enter. And you will see that this
Yeah, it's clear.
is as correctly graded for us. So if I have like 1,000 students, this is like a neat way to grade them. Okay. Now, distinction. If I want to do distinction, am I going to have to do that same kind of work again? No, am I going to have to start saying if, you know, your grade is equal to A, you get the pattern, you know. I'm even getting tired. So there's a way that is faster, especially when what you have are things that are like categories. They are not like numbers, they are not like greater than, less than, they are kind of like equal to. So that is switch. If you are done programming, you'll be familiar with things like switch and case. It's the exact equivalent. They borrowed the name from programming anyway. So those who have done a bit of programming, regardless of language, then the concept is something that you can easily get. So what are we doing? I'm simply just checking for your grade. That's all. This is your grade is equal to what? So if this is your grade, if it's equal to A, then it should give me distinction. Are you following? I want to ask you, as I'm doing this, think of it, which other way should I have done that will be faster? Or some other formulas that we use a lot, which other formula can do this neater for me? I want you to think, just think. It's a very popular formula. Name
VLOOKUP.
Perfect. So again, too, in real life, when you have situations where you are looking for things, like equal to is not a range, it's not like between, it's not like greater than, it's not a less than, then don't stress yourself and be doing if or even be doing switch. Let me just finish this switch so that you see that it works. I'm going to say, or if it is B, then give us distinction. It is B should give us, yeah, B will give us good. Then if it is C, it should give us credit. Then if it is D, it should give us fair. Then if it is E, it should give us poor. Then if it is what now? F, it should give us fail, right? And I close the bracket. And you see it works, right? But as you have rightly said, VLOOKUP, I forgot to lock something. This one absolutely, so they will not be dragging away. Ordinarily, I will have typed them, but I don't have energy to type. Or I can do F9. F9 too can help me to type so that we get the concept. No. All right. So you get the whole pattern. The pattern is if it is A, no, look for what is here. That I'm just trying to explain, you know, layman. So whatever is here, is it equal to this? If that's the answer, then give us that distinction. If it is B that is there, give us, you know, good. So you get the pattern. And you have all correctly answered that, you know, VLOOKUP could have done this, right? In fact, all what we have done, VLOOKUP can do them. So that brings us to VLOOKUP. So all these things we have done, let us see how with VLOOKUP we could have achieved them. because of this, let me just quickly explain VLOOKUP naturally, then we'll use it here. We might end up overshooting our time by 5 minutes, but it's worth it. I'm going to get the file that is for VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is a formula that allows us to say, when I find this unique thing, when I find this grade is always unique in the marking scheme. There's only one grade B that equals to very good, right? So whenever I find B in the marking scheme, it should give me what the comment should be. So let us go and learn it in a different example so that when we are applying it, you will understand. So imagine that I have your names. Imagine this is employee database. I have your names, I have your employee number, I have everything about you, right? So, but nobody shows up here more than once. So this is like a unique list. So that's the thing about VLOOKUP. You know, it can only find uniquely identified, unique table of records. So you always need a unique table of records. When I say unique, like there is a unique identifier. There is something that does not repeat that you can use to identify who you need or what you need, right? So if this is employees, it means maybe our employee ID will be unique in case some of us might have the same name. So that's why companies create unique IDs. The same way too for your customers, you will have customer numbers, vendor numbers, account numbers, things like that to create unique things so that you will never have a situation where two people will be having the same number or the same identifier. So in this case, the identifier is the client name. Let's say we cannot have two companies with the same name, which is a good assumption because if you are using their registered name, CAC will never let a company register with a name that has been taken. Okay, so now VLOOKUP is a formula that says, let me just explain how it works. VLOOKUP, the syntax is question number one is like question. What is the unique identifier that you want to go and use to locate what you want? So the unique identifier, then I ask you another question. That table of records, so go and search for what you want, right? Then he asks for you another question, what you want back or in return. What you want VLOOKUP to get for you, right? And then there's a question here. The question is, should I approximate or not? So this one, when you are going to be answering, you'll be answering with for each of the questions, when you're answering, this one will be a cell answer. Cell as answer. One is always a table, a range of values as answer. This one is always like a number, a numeric, a number to tell VLOOKUP the position of what you want. So like a position kind of number. There's always a number. And this one is like a yes or no, which in Excel English, true or false. So when you are doing this one, you have to say, if you want it to approximate true, if you don't want it to approximate false, right? So now that I've explained the kind of answers we are supposed to give, let's now type the formula, VLOOKUP, right? So what am I looking for? Question number one, the unique identifier. So the lookup value, right? I'm looking for this unique identifier, what I have that is unique about you. Your staff ID, your account number, your vendor number, your email address, because normally email addresses are unique. So that's answer to question number one. I go to comma. So question number two, the table of records. So I go select the table of records. There are some things that I cannot say here because of how I'm dumbing it down. So let's just understand it. In the link I shared in the YouTube link, you will see a video that is dedicated to VLOOKUP where I explain some of the extra things you should be aware of. Okay. So now question number three is the position of what you want. So in this table, I want my VLOOKUP to, when it has identified what I'm looking for, when it has identified this mobile record, right? Mobile has many things. You know, it has the client name, it has the January figure, it has the February figure, it has the March figure. So you get the whole concept, you know. So it has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fields that I have to tell VLOOKUP which one I need back, so that it doesn't get confused. Should it give me January? Should it give me February? Should it give me what? So that's where this one comes in. Position of what I want. So I want January. January is in position number 2. So that's why I say it's a number you count. So like 1, 2, 3. So what I want is January. January is consistently in column 2, like position number 2 in my table of records. So that's why we are going to type as that number 2. Aha. So do I want to approximate or not? So this is the question that some people, they used to forget to write the right answer here. And when you don't put the right answer, anything can happen. Like, you know, your formula is not complete. It might work sometimes, it might not work some other times. That's the funny thing. So as you can see on my screen, it's telling me if I want approximation, that's when I will pick true. If I don't want approximation, I want it to look for exactly that customer ID, that vendor ID, that customer name, that email address. You know, if it doesn't find it, then it should come back and tell me it did not find it, rather than trying to look for somebody whose ID or email or something is similar, right? So a lot of times that's what we want. We want that exact, like we don't want approximation. We want exact to say, you know, if I do not find it, it should come back and tell you that it did not find it. So that's why a lot of VLOOKUP formulas, people will put false. Some people who have been using it, you know, before reading the documentation, they will put 0. You know, so whether you put 0 or you put false, you are saying the same thing, kind of. So let us just use what the documentation is asking for anyway. So I put false, right? And that is it. That's how VLOOKUP works, right? Just you type in the answer to the question it's asking you, and life is easy. And you can test it again. You can come here and say, what if the company is MTN? So if the company is MTN, voila, it will correctly get us the value for MTN. So imagine I have like a list of 200,000 customers. You know, this is faster instead of me scrolling, and I can be able to even do something interesting. I can be able to create a chart on top of it. Such that whenever you change the company name, you know, my chart will change. So it begins to give life to my analysis. It begins to enable me to do things that before I will have found very, very, very difficult. So now that we understand VLOOKUP, are you clear about this formula? Anybody having any confusion? Because now I want to show you how we could have used VLOOKUP to replicate all of those things that I was doing there. Can I go on? Clear?
Yeah, sure.
Very
I didn't catch what you said now. But I'm guessing you mean I'm clear that I can go on. All right. So let's now see how with VLOOKUP, all what we were doing, we could have done easily. So are you ready? Let's start with the grade 1. I could have just used VLOOKUP here to say, I am looking for your score. I mean your grade actually, that's ABCD stuff. In this unique table of marking scheme, right? And then, because this table now has like 1, 2, what I need in this table is the position 2, right? So position 2, and I say do not approximate, right? And voila, I could have just done this, and I would have gotten, you know, in a shorter formula that does not give headache, I would have gotten what I wanted, right? Okay, good. So you can see how VLOOKUP sometimes can help you in some kind of if situations too. How about grade? How could I have used it to do grade? Remember I said VLOOKUP has, in the last answer, you can do true or false. Let us take advantage of the true part. So I'm going to create a VLOOKUP, something to help me with a VLOOKUP helper. Let's call it VLOOKUP helper. And what do? I put the lower boundary of everything. So the lower boundary of every category. Flash field wanted to help me. Flash field just disappeared again. Anyway, it's not so much. I put the lower of all of those numbers. That's the magical aspect to it. And let's see. Instead of me doing this crazy long type of ifs. Imagine we have things that can have like 10 categories. Then I'm in trouble. Yeah, I'll be typing a lot of ifs. I just do VLOOKUP. So I need you to watch this one closely. I'm going to end with it, but even if you don't get it, the fact that you know that it's possible, you can watch the video, you can go and try it on some things on your own too, and it will definitely sink in after you try it like 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to look for your score. In this table of grading and all of that, I'm going to look for your score in this table of grading. Right? Are we following? Then, what do I want in terms of position? What do we want? I want the grade number. So that's like 1, 2, 3. So position 3, right? And here, I need approximate. So this is where that approximate is going to work in my favor, right? The way approximate works, if you read it, it goes values in the first column of the table must be sorted in ascending order. That's why I've done this thing in ascending order. Anyway, that's just all it needs. I'm going to put through. And I do enter. Are you seeing a magic? Because I want to drag it down, let me just make absolute all the things that I need to make so that this table will not be changing position. And you see that I can drag this down, and voila, I'm done. So I should not have done all these things that was taking energy. I could have just done VLOOKUP alone, simple VLOOKUP. Even if I had like 20 categories, it will still capture them. So that's why people use it for tax, use it for things where there's always a range. If you are between this bracket, this is the percentage you should apply for royalty, for bonus, for all kinds of these kind of things. You will find that, VLOOKUP can make your life easy instead of using ifs that will now be like as long as Third Mainland Bridge. So let us now just, did you get this one anyway? Because I'm done kind of. We'll wrap it up at this point.
I want to ask a question. Is there a way we can fix the reference such that we don't have to that in that table we are using, the next column has the name of the grades.
Yes.
Instead of fixing both sides, can we just fix one side so that when we drag it to the other side, it just fills it automatically and we don't have to retype the formula?
You see what people used to do to achieve that? They used to write the position of the column. They used to now write it on top. So they could say this is position 1. So in case you see some people, especially those who do modeling or build financial stuff, they like to sometimes do this. They will now write 1, 2, 3 above the table. And the reason they are doing that is so that when they are doing this formula, instead of them manually typing 3 here, they will just be picking that, okay, use this position number, right? So that way when I drag, it will correctly drag for me. So let's drag now. If I drag this, it will correctly drag and get me I will not have to come here and be manually typing 4. Before now, I'll have been the one changing the 3 to 4 myself. So that's one thing. There are many ways, but that's one common way people use. So thanks for even saying that, because now I can use it for this one. I need to lock one side of it anyway. I need to lock the other side of it so that I can drag it down. Oh, why is everybody feeling? I didn't lock this part. This locking stuff, it's not a small thing, no. But the good thing is because I'm used to it, whenever I see a problem, I just go and maybe the next class we'll talk about, I call it locking, but the technical name is referencing. So next week, maybe this is what we'll do. We'll do absolute so that you will understand how you, or when you do a formula and it works and you drag it and it does not work, and you're like, are you going to have to start typing one by one for everything? If you master this thing, you'll be able to fix. You see the way I was knowing what to put dollar. Dollar is what makes it absolute or mixed. At least for me, because I know it, I knew where to go and put the dollar. So next week we'll cover that one. Any other questions before we say bye-bye? Oh, someone is raising his hand. Okay, yes, sir. Mr. Who now? Mr. Azan, yes, please go on, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Very clearly, yes.
Yes, to be honest, I am not happy that I am having a class today and I just got the notification today. If you look at the timestamp, I just joined this class not maybe 5 minutes ago.
Wow.
Even though I got the WhatsApp message today, and I believe that at least we should have a prior notice or notification. Let's say now there's going to be a class today, we should have gotten notification say like yesterday, so that everybody will do their planning and scheduling very well. You understand? I was in transit when I got the WhatsApp message, and I was like, what? This is going to go live today. Come on. Is like now I can tell you I just got into the class when I packed and I got home, and I was like, there's nothing for me to, I can't gain anything, but let me just make my concern known. You understand? And I believe it's for the benefit of others.
Yes, it will even help others, because I'm sure there are some people too who they probably will, you are even able to join. They might not even be able to join by the time they are free. But exactly. One other thing I want to do is that every week we do this. So, like I noticed that Mr. Kozim, there are some people here that are regular, that they've even blocked it off in their calendar that every Sunday this thing we hold. I will do what you are saying. I will make amends. It's my fault. And it's because I'm always very busy that I just want to not want to do it before, but what you said makes a lot of sense. I can always put it in my calendar that on Saturday I should send a reminder. So people
and you just send a bulk email out. You understand?
Yes.
You can just send a bulk email out to everybody. Then I will just straight away lock it in my calendar. I know that yes, so is it 4 or 3 o'clock? There's going to be a class. You understand?
Correct. I agree.
So now, no problem. So this one
I'm recording it. So it's just for me to. Normally, I used to edit the recording so that whatever glitches are cut off. So people watching will not, because their time is valuable, they will not have to be watching things that maybe I was trying to connect and blah blah. So because of that, it might take some days before you get the recording.
That's not.
But I'll try to be faster. Maybe like 2 days to be able to get notice of the recording. And as for previous session, maybe this is an opportunity to let everybody be aware. So for previous sessions, this is the link, and even the recording of this one. All recorded sessions are all session recording. Accessible here. So I'm putting the link for us.
Okay, you are putting it on these Teams, right?
Yes.
Okay. So going forward now, it's going to be 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. every Sunday, right?
That has always been like that. It was only 1 week that we did not do, and it was my fault, and I was so sad for it that I said no matter what, I will try my best not to miss it. So for Excel, it's always 4 to 5. There's Power BI 6 to 7. There's financial modeling 2 to 4, 2 to 3, 4. Those ones I've done already. So it's free for anybody to join any of their interests. It's not for these live classes. We don't limit it to only people doing the course or doing a particular course. We make it as open as possible. Okay. Any other concerns before we say bye-bye?
Please, the WhatsApp group link and the link to register for the financial modeling.
Okay, so let me start putting them here. For the financial modeling one, let's see. So this is the financial modeling community link. If you have any questions too, you can be asking, so that I'm talking, or even if there's a contribution, there's something you used to do that you feel you can use this for, just share your ideas, because that way, when you say it,
okay, I think what we can do is sometimes, because you are very busy, so I think what we can do, if you cannot make it, then you can maybe ask somebody to assist, maybe a topic or anything so that it can just keep going if in case you cannot make it.
Okay, like someone to just help me with like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That I cannot make it.
Yes, so you can just pick any topic. Since it's just a discussion, so you can just pick any topic then. Sure. So that's just to keep
and I recommend like maybe take homes also, so we can just share our screen, maybe one person to show that we actually do what we did.
Thank you for that. I've been saying it, but somehow it's not happening. So what you are saying now is giving credit. So please let us decide how that one will be. Are we going to conclude who wants to share next week, or are we going to just agree on a take home here? Then, and those who are able to do it will share with the team next week. We'll share. So are we agreeing that how many of us have seen situations that you feel you can apply what we've learned in, and then you want to commit to doing it? And if there are sensitive data, you can just, for the demonstration next week, you will just take out whatever is sensitive and put dummy data, but still share the concept of how you have used this thing to achieve something meaningful. Because to be sincere, in class trainings, because that's what we want to achieve. We want this to be as close as possible to a class training. Class training, people even do come up in my class. People will come to the screen and even take the projector and start doing. And I find that it makes sense, if someone that you are sitting beside you suddenly stands up and goes and is explaining, you will pay more attention than the guy that has been explaining since Monday and it's Wednesday. At a point I started looking like radio that is just on and you are just listening. So please, how do you want us to do that? Should we start this week? Should we decide, or do you want to just pick any random topic amongst yourself? And okay, so for the WhatsApp group, there are two WhatsApp groups. There is a general one and there is one that is like a closed group. The one Mr. Azan is talking about is a closed group, but I will share the general one. So let me go and grab the general one. That one is even on Telegram because it has grown so big that we have to move to Telegram.
I would say that I should let anyone who can just ask, and anyone who has done it can randomly just share their screen.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. I don't know if I said it very well today, but I used to do that, and it's only once. It's only Oga Francis. Thank God he's on this session. He's the only one that has shared the screen ever since we've been saying it. So, okay, you want me to still keep using that approach rather than trying to get people to commit? Because I'm thinking I will get more results if we do that one and still try to say, can people commit to saying, okay, I'm going to try and learn something this week that I'm going to share with the house next week. Please, anybody wants to commit to that? The worst that can happen is you commit and you don't make, like something comes up and you're not able to live up to what you agreed to, and there's no problem. We'll just still do the meeting. But when you commit, at least it gives you a bit more push, motivation to live up to what you have said. So who is committing?
I think there are two sides to it. So if there's a topic for next week, so we give a topic for next week. So this is what we are going to do. So then somebody can do something and present it. Otherwise, is it we are saying just pick any topic, then we'll come and present something that is unique or so. So there are just two parts to it. So which do we prefer?
Okay, so which do we want? Or do we want any of the two? Do you want a case where you just go with your normal week, try as many things as you want to learn, and then whatever you feel is interesting enough that you want to share.
Okay. Yeah.
We should agree on a topic.
Yeah, it all depends. Sometimes they say what an old man sees sitting down, young ones will not see standing. So sometimes you may see the tools that are relevant, but we may not see that tool as relevant. You get that?
Yeah, I don't even mind though. If somebody shares something and out of 20 of us in the class, only 5 of us see the usefulness, it's still good. Because something that you are not seeing a usefulness for today, you might just find out that next week you'll be in the exact same kind of situation where that thing that was not useful becomes something that you're happy that you are aware exists. So me, I'm even happy. If you have ideas, and don't let it be that maybe you feel it's too narrow. Please share.
All right, that's fine.
So what are we agreeing? So that we just agree and close the session. Let us agree. Do we want to pick a topic? Should we say this is the topic for next week? And people should try and, get stuff about it. Those taking our courses, do that aspect. Those who are learning on their own, whatever it is you do, and then come up with something to share with the house tomorrow, next week. Are we for that?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Okay, all right. So what topic should we pick for next week then? Let me try and show you ideas of topics. Let me just... You can be thinking, what topics do you... I'm just trying to put some things on screen.
I would suggest that we take the topic you will teach in the next class.
We should take the what, ma'am?
The topic you'll be taking in the next class.
Right now, me too, I don't know which topic I will take in next class. The funny thing is I used to decide it on the day itself. So these are different.
Okay, I think what we can do. Okay, you have the topics and that's fine. Okay.
But these are just ideas, though. These are just like normally what we send out in our training outline. So to just give you ideas for somebody who wants to maybe where I should do chat, or maybe just to put some things into our thinking, our thoughts, our notice.
Okay, so for instance, there are some things that people do not use normally. Okay, like running regression. Okay, so we have the normal regression that you run with your data tools. Okay, but if you want to run something like logistic regression, you can't just run that on normal Excel. So you need to now download. You need to go to the market to now import the add-in to do that. So those are some little things that people are not so familiar with.
Are you okay with sharing with us on that? And tell us how many minutes you need. So if you need more than, if you need all the time, good. If you need 10 minutes, 10, you can get more questions.
Unless maybe I explain the concept of regression, then that's when. Then also there are some other charts, like for example, you have your normal chart, but you have what they call people's charts. Like HR guys can use that.
I'm happy with all what you are saying.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, is anybody wanting to commit to any of his own, any topic? So Mr. Francis, is there anything you want to commit to and say, okay, I want to show?
Okay, maybe next week I can show that of regression and so how to bring some add-ins that are inside Excel markets.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have you for next week then.
Yeah.
How many minutes do you need so that we will know how many people we should budget for next week?
So if we can give it maybe like 15 minutes, I'll be fine. I can just show, just to illustrate. It's not like we are teaching, we're just exposing to.
Okay. So will 20 minutes be good?
I think you'll be okay. 20 minutes will be fine.
Okay, good. So let me write that down. Anybody else?
At least we can have more people and share different stuff.
Okay, great. Anybody else? So I still have Power BI at 6 o'clock and I need to also prepare. So please Let us say something. Even if you are doubting, don't worry. The worst that can happen is you say, oh, you are not ready again, and there will always be backup. So don't worry. You cannot disappoint at all. There's nothing like disappointment.
Okay.
Who else? I'm going to call names. So, Engineer Cinema. How about you, sir? I know you've been doing some things with, I know you've been doing a lot, in this last couple of weeks. Is there anything of interest that you think? And the idea is, when you share, it makes those things stick. For me, when people give me opportunity to share, I like to pick the things that I have not yet mastered very well, so that thing will force me to now master it for that presentation, and I will know it better. So that thing works for me. Mr. Zan, do you want to also volunteer and share something you've learned? It will even be one of those crazy tasks you've been doing with Emmanuel.
For now, I will.
If you are able to get on with it, and not too confidential. Anything.
Yeah, for now, I will beg for me to be excused. Certainly, I promise I will share my knowledge so far, but not next week, please.
Okay. Okay. I will call. Mr. Yusuf, Mr. Cyril. I don't know if it's Mr. or Mrs. Cinnamon. Well, I will just be calling your first name anyway. Okay, all of us, any other person, I'll ask going 5 times, and if nobody says anything, then only Mr. Francis and I next week then. So going 1, going 2, going 3, going 4, going 5, gone. So
hello, Mr. Michael, what did you say?
I was asking that one more person at least. So it looks like it's just me and you, Francis.
To do what is that?
All right, so see you next week then. We need to end the... Mr. Cyril, are you volunteering? I can see you are talking now.
No, I didn't hear what you said, that's why.
Okay, the thing is, someone has volunteered to share something next week. So he has asked for 20 minutes to share something with you, with the class. So are you open to sharing anything with us, something that you feel some other people can benefit from?
Okay, I don't have yet. Well, I will soon have. I don't have anything yet.
Can't you have between now and Friday, so that by Sunday you will have something? Should we put down your name? You don't need to have the topic exactly now.
It's something on Excel, right?
Yeah, it should be on Excel.
Wait, after next week I'll decide. Let me see what somebody else shares so that I can. It will help me to go and prepare. At least it will help me to learn, do some little learning in the week.
Okay. At least we are making progress. Thanks for the person who even brought it up. Thank you, everybody. So see you next week.
So we meet at 4 o'clock again, or when?
Yes, it's always 4 on Sundays.
Oh, okay, 4. Today is my first Sunday of joining. I didn't know.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
Today is my first day.
Sending ahead. So apologies.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
So see you next week. If you are interested in Power BI, there's Power BI for 6 o'clock. Let me just give you the link.
The link for the class. Thank you very much.
Okay. So you send the link for the Power BI. All right, sir.
Yes.
Getting into that one. All right. So thank you. Have a nice rest of the weekend.
All right. Thank you.